Are we ready to start?
Yeah, about it's only a few minutes.
Can you put the microphone on that thing?
Microphone?
On that stand?
No, it won't stay. It's all of the times. It's a. You want to pick?
I'm just worried that it won't be close enough. That would be better.
I'll put it here. Is it too high?
I'll sort it out when I get
Yeah.
I think that one's better. Yeah, I think that's better. Is it stable? Or maybe just put it on that one. Put it on this one, please. As long as people can hear me.
You can test it. Can raise the volume too?
I don't know. Okay, so we start by paying homage to the Buddha. We recite Namo Tassa 3 times. Okay. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, so good evening. It's nice to see so many people come out on a Thursday night to Yanoora. So thank you to Patrick for the invitation to talk tonight. So I start by asking, how do we become a Buddhist? Who is a Buddhist? So does anyone want to answer? How do we become a Buddhist? We become a Buddhist when we take refuge in the Triple Gem. We take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Dhamma, take refuge in the Sangha. So what is the meaning to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha? The Buddha was the person who knew and saw the truth. A Buddha is a person who knows and sees the truth. So before he was the Buddha, he was a human being and he was an ordinary person. After he became the Buddha, he was still a human being, but he wasn't an ordinary person anymore. So taking refuge in the Buddha, it doesn't matter about the person or what their name was. It means taking refuge in knowing and seeing the truth. So to be a real Buddhist We need to be the person who knows and sees the truth. So what is the way to know and see the truth? This is a question that has been asked many times since then, and it is a question that is asked to this very day. So when we have a question, who can we ask? We can ask the Buddha, because while the teachings of the Buddha are still alive in the world, the Buddha is still here. So his human form has departed, but the Buddha is still here. And the Buddha, while he was alive, he explained everything, because the Buddha was omniscient and he knew everything. So do you believe that the Buddha knew everything? So any question we have about how to live our life, we can ask the Buddha. And the Buddha explained that the way to know and see the truth is to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So I think everyone here will know the Noble Eightfold Path? Yes. Do you want to recite together? Yes. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So that is the order that the Buddha explained them in. But we can divide the Noble Eightfold Path up into 3 sections: Shila, Samadhi, and Panya. So the subject of my talk tonight will be the importance of the 3 trainings: Shila, Samadhi, and Panya. So Shila is right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Samadhi, or concentration, is right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And Panya is right thought and right understanding. So that is the Noble Eightfold Path, but explained a little bit differently. So the most important thing is to know and see the truth. So we should ask ourselves a question: who do we want to be? So do we want to be rich? Do we want to be famous? Do we want to be the person who's comfortable? Do we want to be the person with many things at our fingertips? Or do we want to be something different? So in our world now, in our society, especially in a country like Australia, most people are devoting themselves to being the person who is rich, to being the person who is famous, to being the person who has many material things. But we can do something different. So the person who comes to the Dhamma talk on a Thursday night, the person who practices the meditation, and the person who helps the meditation centre, helps the monks, helps the nuns. These are persons who come into this world with very good parami, very good meritorious deeds from the previous life. These are the persons who want to do something different with their life. So if we want to be the person who knows and sees the truth, we need to know how to practice. If we don't know how to practice, we're like a person going on a journey without a compass. We might go in the wrong direction. We might not get to our destination. The purpose of the Dhamma is to make known what the Buddha knew. So nowadays some people say, oh well, we can't know what the Buddha knew. The Buddha never said anything like that. The Buddha said that we can all know what he knew. And the difference is one of degree. The Buddha knew everything about the universe, past, present and future, we can know everything about ourselves. This is possible. This was possible when the Buddha was alive, and it's possible to this day. Even now, there are people who can realise Nibbana. They are not a person you are going to meet every day, but they're there. So Nibbana means truth. Truth and Nibbana are interchangeable words, but they mean the same thing. It is most important to know and see. Knowing and seeing is like being on top of a high mountain. We look around us and we can see everything. To understand the truth is to understand the problems of our life. So what are the problems of our life? Some people are human, some people are animals, some people are born in hell, some people are born in heaven. We can't see that, but we can see in our human world, some people are born rich, some people are born beautiful, some people become very famous, some people are successful, some people are not so successful. So what is the meaning of this? What is the answer to this question? Why are we in this situation? Why are other people in this situation? So the answer to all of this is the teachings of the Buddha. To understand these questions, the Buddha taught Shila, Samadhi and Panya. So what is the purpose of practicing Shila, Samadhi and Panya? Morality, concentration and wisdom. Nowadays there are many people saying, well, okay, we can just go straight to wisdom. We don't need to follow Shila, we don't need to follow Samadhi, and we don't need to follow Panya. But the Buddha didn't say like this. The Buddha said that we should start with Shila. If we want to build a big building, if we want to build a pagoda, we need solid foundations. Without a solid foundation, we are not able to build a great building. If we start with no foundations, we might build a building, but it's not going to be solid and it's not going to last, and as soon as a storm comes, it'll fall down. So what is the meaning of Shila? Shila is morality, and the Buddha explained that for a layperson it is to follow 5 precepts, and if you're a monk it is to follow 227 precepts and many, many other things that the Buddha explained, but you are all lay people. So Shila for the layperson is to follow 5 precepts. So you all know, I think, what 5 precepts are. So nowadays some people say, oh well, maybe 5's too much, 4's okay, or 3's okay, or 2's okay, or don't worry about it. Maybe not so good. I'll ask a question to everybody here. How many actions do we do a day? 3. Oh, wow, you know the answer. Bodily actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. So normally say, oh, Bhante, we do many, many, many. We do many actions every day. So the purpose of Shila is to purify our bodily actions and our verbal actions. So if we abstain from killing, this is a bodily action. If we abstain from stealing, this is a bodily action. If we abstain from telling lies, this is a verbal action. And if we abstain from sexual misconduct, This is a bodily action. And if we abstain from taking intoxicants, people have different answers to this, whether it's a bodily action or a mental action. The purpose of abstaining from taking intoxicants is to help us observe the first 4 precepts. If we take intoxicants, we are more likely to kill, we are more likely to steal, we are more likely to tell lies, and we're more likely to commit sexual misconduct. So the purpose of observing Shila is to purify our bodily actions. So we may be the person who observes Shila very well, and our bodily and verbal actions may be pure, but observing Shila on its own cannot purify our mind. And the more we purify our bodily and verbal actions, the more we will understand, oh, my mind is not so pure. It will become clearer and clearer to us that before we commit any bodily or verbal misconduct, it starts in the mind. So as the Buddha explained in the Dhammapada, mind precedes everything. The mind always comes first. So we might restrain ourselves from doing something wrong, but we will notice, oh, in my mind there is still the desire to do something wrong. So then we understand, oh, I must purify my mind. So I would guess that everyone here in the audience observes Shila. So you are not committing bodily or verbal misconduct, and your mental contents of your mind are probably very good. But according to the teachings of the Buddha, our mind is still impure if we have delusion. We all have delusion. Unless we have attained Nibbana, we are experiencing delusion. This is a fact. And people, they put ignorance and delusion together, avijja and moha, but the two are actually separate. So ignorance is not knowing something. Delusion is misunderstanding something. Delusion is seeing something and taking it for something else. So in order to overcome delusion, the first thing we need to do is to purify our mind. So just change the page. So overcoming delusion is panya, but before we get to panya, we need to practice concentration. Concentration, according to the Buddha, what is concentration? So we will know in the Noble Eightfold Path that right concentration is number 8. And the Buddha was asked, Bhante, what is the meaning of right concentration? So does anyone know how the Buddha answered that question? He was asked this question many, many times, and he always gave the same answer. Does anyone know? Right concentration is first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, or fourth jhana. So nowadays there are many, many people teaching meditation all around the world. Many people teaching meditation in Australia. Some people teach meditation in accordance with the Buddha. Some people don't. So the Buddha explained right concentration is first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, or fourth jhana. So if we haven't got to that stage yet, it doesn't matter. That is our goal. But I just want to point out that this is the meaning of samadhi. So there are people teaching that you can practice panya without samadhi. this is not in accordance with what the Buddha said. So as we purify our conduct, we will notice more and more the impurity of our mind. So now everyone has smartphones. Everyone likes to take, I think it's called the selfie. I'm a bit out of touch. People like to take the selfie and they put on the Facebook, they put on the internet. And everyone, the young lady, they want to be very beautiful, they make sure they look very nice, and they put on the Facebook. If we could take a photo of our mind, would we put it on Facebook? If we could take a photo of our mind, would we want to show everyone? I don't think so. We want to keep that a secret. Do you agree? Yeah. Not so beautiful and very difficult to rearrange. So this is the purpose of practicing concentration, to purify our mind. So even a little bit of purity is good. It doesn't matter if you're not at fourth jhana stage. In the human world now, the person who can practice fourth jhana is very rare. This is a fact. We are a long, long way from the Buddha. We are a long 2,500 years. Are we the person who is able to have the Buddha as our meditation teacher? No. If the Buddha was our meditation teacher, we wouldn't be here. So we need to do our best. Practicing meditation is very important. The only way we will get to fourth jhana at some time in the future is by starting. When we practice concentration meditation, we can purify our mind. How long does that purity last? Well, the purity lasts for the duration of our meditation. So if we can enter absorption concentration for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, that is how long our mind is pure. Then when we open our eyes and get up, if we're careful, we might be okay. But through the 5 sense doors, the defilements flood in a torrent. It's unstoppable. It's like a tornado. Through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, through our tongue, through our body, sense impressions flood in and defilements arise in our mind. The Buddha, we all have eyes, we all have ears, we have a nose, we have a tongue, we have a body. So we hear, we touch, we see, we taste. The Buddha never said, don't see, don't hear, don't touch, don't taste. We can't live like that. It's not possible. We are the human being. And even the Arahant, the Buddha, they still see, they still taste, they still smell, they still hear, they still touch. What is the difference between them and us? They see, they hear, they taste, they touch with wisdom. We see, we hear, we taste, we touch with delusion. This is a very, very big difference. So when we see something, we misapprehend it. So you're all sitting here listening to the Dhamma talk, listening to the Australian monk give the talk. At the level of ultimate reality, this is just a delusion. So the Buddha said there are no people. There's just mind and matter. So this is what happens to us when we emerge from our meditation. We go back into delusion. So if we are the person who is practicing morality and we go on to practice samadhi and we develop jhana, we will become the person who wants to completely purify our mind. We will not be satisfied with meditating for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. We will want to go for complete purity. So to attain complete purity of mind, the Buddha taught the third training. The third training is the training of wisdom. So I was asked a few weeks ago to talk about how the non-meditator can develop wisdom. So according to the Buddha, the first thing that we should do before we even start meditating is to approach the learned person and ask them, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what is good, what is bad, what is beautiful, what is repulsive. So nowadays, I think the learned person to approach and ask those questions is quite difficult to find. But as I've already said, we still have the Buddha. And we can approach the Buddha and we can ask, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome? So that is a start to developing wisdom. So it is explained that there are 3 types of wisdom that we can develop. The first type of wisdom is called Sutta Maya Panya. This means the wisdom that we can acquire by listening to other people. So listening to a Dhamma talk, listening to other people talk, we can acquire this kind of wisdom. This kind of wisdom can be very extensive, and that is the start. The second kind of wisdom is Chintamaya Panya. This is the wisdom we get. It's mentioned wisdom by thinking. I would say wisdom by study. So wisdom by study and thinking for ourselves. So this kind of wisdom covers all our kind of worldly activities, our work, our job, our skills. This kind of wisdom can be very extensive also. The highest kind of wisdom is Bhavana Maya Panya. Bhavana Maya Panya means the wisdom we attain through meditation. And the Visuddhimagga mentions that this wisdom can only come from jhana concentration. So this is an important thing to remember. If we're the person who wants to attain wisdom through practicing meditation, we need to develop jhana concentration. But if we're not meditator, it doesn't matter. We can develop the other 2 kinds of wisdom. We can listen, we can study, and we can approach the learned person. So the highest kind of wisdom, the fulfillment of wisdom, is knowing the 4 Noble Truths. When we know the 4 Noble Truths, that is when we become a Buddhist. That is when we become a real Buddhist. So in the Buddha's first sutta, he explained the 4 Noble Truths. So he said that, how did he say? Sickness, old age and death. So the first Noble Truth is suffering. So the Buddha explained that sickness, old age and death are suffering. Not getting things we want is suffering. Getting things we don't want is suffering. Being separated from our loved ones is suffering. Being together with people we don't like is suffering. So many people will know here that as we get older, we understand this. When we are young, this is difficult to understand because we think, oh, I'm not going to get old. It's not going to happen to me. We see the old people and we think, oh, why they let themselves get like that? But when we get to about 50, we start to fall apart. We look around us. Some of our friends are gone. Some of our family members are gone. Good things have happened to us. Bad things have happened to us. This is the human life, and we understand what the Buddha meant. But when the Buddha spoke, he always spoke on two levels. He spoke on the level of conventional reality for those that weren't developed in the Dhamma, and for the people that could understand, he spoke at a deeper level. And in his first sutta, he continued on that I say in short, the 5 clinging aggregates are suffering. So what are the 5 clinging aggregates? Is rupa, the aggregate of form, which is our body. There is the aggregate of sanya, is perceptions, or vedana comes first, feelings, perceptions, sankhara, which is mental formations, and vijnana, which is consciousness. So those 4 make up the mind. So the Buddha explained that the body and the mind is suffering. He didn't say we suffer because we have a body and a mind. So I've heard it explained like this, that we suffer because we have a body and a mind. Yes, we suffer superficially because we have a body and a mind. We're separated from people we love, bad things happen to us because we have the body and the mind. But what the Buddha actually meant here is that the body and the mind itself are suffering. Those 5 things are suffering. The body and the mind are, by their nature, they're suffering. Why can we say they are suffering? It is because of delusion. So we believe that somewhere in those 5 aggregates is a self. We believe that somewhere there is a me in our body and our mind. But the Buddha taught that there is no self. We believe that the body and the mind are permanent and stable, and the Buddha taught anicca, impermanence. We believe that the body and the mind are beautiful, that they are happiness, that having a body and having a mind is a good thing, happiness. But the Buddha explained that this is actually suffering. So, to penetrate through to the truth and see these things as the Buddha explained, we need to develop concentration. So the Buddha said, develop concentration, bhikkhus. A person who develops concentration will know and see things as they really are. So bhikkhu in this case means anyone who is on the path to see the truth. So I won't give the talk tonight about how to practice Vipassana meditation. This is just an overview. So the Buddha said, if we develop concentration, we'll know and see the truth. So what would that mean if we practice meditation? We will understand the truth of the mind-matter phenomenon. So the example is given of a line of ants crossing the path. If we see the line of ants from the distance, we will just see a black line. If we get a little bit closer, we will see that it's moving. And if we get a little bit closer, we'll see that it's actually made up of individual ants. And if we get down on our hands and knees and look really close, we'll see that the ant's got little legs, little eyes, little feelers. So this is what happens when we develop concentration and we examine the mind-matter phenomenon. From a distance, it seems solid. But if we develop jhana concentration, we will see that it's moving, that it's not solid, and as we get closer and closer, we will see the individual characteristics of the mind-matter phenomenon. So in the world today, there are many, many people. There are many people in Australia, many people in Sydney, many people in this room. But we see one person and we know, oh, that's my mother, that's my father, that's my wife, that's my child. How do we tell people apart? It's by their characteristics. So our mind sees someone we know and we know them, oh, that's their hair, that's the way they wear their clothes. We might not be thinking about this, but this is how we tell people apart. So this is how we can understand the mind-matter phenomenon. Ultimate reality is by its characteristics. And to do this, we need concentration. So Prince Siddhartha Gautama, he became a Buddha by seeing the Four Noble Truths. No other way. It wasn't some magical phenomenon. He did it by seeing the Four Noble Truths, and he did it by understanding the three characteristics. Anatta, dukkha, anicca, which is no self, impermanence, and suffering. So we can do the same. The Buddha didn't say that we can't do the same. He never explained like this. So this is the meaning of practicing the three trainings. This is the meaning of being a real Buddhist. So how do we succeed in practicing the three trainings? What is the basis for success? The basis for success is fulfillment of paramis. The person who succeeds in Shila, Samadhi and Panya is the person who has perfected their paramis. So when Sumedha the hermit received the definitive prophecy from Buddha Dipankara, so everyone will know that story, that our Bodhisattva, a long time ago, he was a hermit called Sumedha, and he approached Buddha Dipankara and he paid respects to Buddha Dipankara. And in his mind he was thinking, I want to be like you. So Buddha Dipankara prophesied that one day he would be born as Buddha Gautama. So to become a bodhisattva, a Buddha of the future, we need two things. One is a prophecy from a Buddha, and one is that we at that time could become an arahat. So Sumedha the hermit, when he met Buddha Dipankara, he knew that he would only have to practice a short time and he could become an arahat. But he decided that he wouldn't become an arahat at that time. He would become a Buddha in the future. So he went into the forest and he thought, what do I need to do to become a Buddha? And he came up with the 10 paramis. I need to perfect the 10 paramis to be a Buddha. So the 10 paramis. So another teacher I've heard has explained that paramis are like big jars, and we put a little drop of water in each one every day, and eventually they'll be full. So the first parami is dana parami. So I think everyone here practices dana. They donate to the monastery, they support the monk and nuns, they support the meditation centre. This is one meaning of dana. What is the best dana? Dhamma, yeah. Giving the Dhamma is the best dana. There's another kind of dana. We give our body and our mind to the Dhamma. We give our body and our mind to the practice. So we say, Bhante, Venerable Sir, Venerable Buddha, I'm going to donate my body and my mind to practicing the Dhamma. This is the best kind of dana that we can do. So nowadays, many people want to offer the money, offering the money is the easy way. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to do the meditation. I'm too busy to go on the retreat. I'm too busy to go to the meditation center, so I'll give $50. Oh, conscience is clear. I'm practicing the Dhamma. Not really. This is the modern way of practicing the Dhamma. Dana is sometimes difficult. You know, if dana is easy, it's not really dana. Well, it is dana, but you know, if we're giving something for us that is difficult to give, so if the rich person gives $5, it's not really generosity. But there's the story of the time of the Buddha, of the Brahmin and his wife. The Brahmin and his wife, they were Brahmins, but they were very poor. And they only had one set of clothes to share between them. So they would only leave the house. The husband would leave or the wife would leave, and they would put on this cloak. And the Brahmin went and offered that cloak to the Buddha. So the Buddha probably didn't need a cloak, but the Brahmin offered everything he had to the Buddha. So this is how we must practice the Dhamma. We should offer our body and our life to the Dhamma. So if we are the monk, hopefully we offer full time. If we're the layperson, we can still offer. We can practice the meditation, we can do the dana, we can go to the monastery, we can go to the meditation center. So this is practicing dana parami. Another important parami is nikkama parami. This means renunciation. So the monk, they renounce the world. The yogi goes to the meditation center. They renounce the world for 10 days, 20 days. My teacher in Myanmar, he said to me that putting on the robes and renouncing the world, that is the easy bit. What we need to really renounce is fear and worry and anxiety and doubt. This is what we really need to renounce. And this is very difficult. So when we practice meditation, the Buddha said we should find a comfortable place, we should sit down, and we should set aside longing and delusion for the world. So set aside means, I just put it over here. Don't push it away, we don't get rid of it. We just put it over here, and then when we finish meditation, we can get it back. So this is nikkama parami. So all paramis, we don't have to be perfect. We have to make a start, and we have to practice every day a little drop. Eventually that pot will be full. Another parami is vidya parami. This is translated into English as sometimes energy or effort. Both of those are not 100% correct. The correct translation of vidya is courageous effort, or courage, we can say. So if we are the person who wishes to practice the Dhamma, if we are the person who wishes to practice meditation, we are going to encounter many, many obstacles. There are going to be many problems in our practice. This is the fact of life. We are not the person who can listen to a short talk from the Buddha and become the Arahant. This is not us. We are the person who must make effort, the person who must practice systematically. And to succeed in meditation, many, many things have to come together at once, and we will encounter many, many obstacles. So when we were a little kid and we learned to ride the bike, I don't know if you ride bikes in Myanmar, but we used to ride bikes in Australia. We fall off the bike, we hurt ourselves, we scrape our knee. What do? We get back on the bike and have another go. So this is vidya, this is courageous effort. When we're practicing meditation, sometimes our mind will play tricks on us. Oh, don't meditate this morning. It's okay. You can meditate tonight. And then when we get to tonight, oh, you're very tired, better have a lie down. Maybe better to watch TV, call your friend, use the internet. So courage means overcoming fear, overcoming difficulty. Courage means taking on an adversary that's bigger than yourself. So if we have video, we say, no, I'm going to do my meditation. Don't worry about it. I'm okay, thank you. So this is virya. We need to succeed in meditation, to succeed in the Dhamma. We need a lot of virya. If we're the person who wants to go on the meditation retreat, or maybe better to go to Thailand for 2 weeks. Maybe I don't go on the retreat. Many tricks. Metta parami. Metta is very important. Usually metta is explained as sending loving kindness out to other people in the world. I always explain metta as metta towards ourselves. This is most important. We cannot have metta towards other people unless we perfect metta towards ourselves. So at my monastery, many monks say to me, "Oh Bhante, my meditation no good. I'm not the good monk. I can't succeed." This is not the mind of metta. We wouldn't speak to other people like this, but we are very happy to speak to ourselves like this. We're very happy to say, "Oh, I'm not the person who can practice the Dhamma. I'm not good enough. I'm not a Buddha. I'm not a Bodhisattva." This is not metta. So metta is kindness, loving friendliness. So if we're not going so well in meditation, we say to ourselves, well, you're doing okay. You're having a go. You're trying. This is the mind of metta. Satya parami. Satya means truthfulness. So what is truthfulness? Truthfulness is many things. But truthfulness in our practice means asking ourselves, am I trying? Am I doing the best I can? So if we're the person who makes the donation but doesn't do the practice, we ask ourselves, am I really practicing the Dhamma? Maybe the answer is not quite. Not quite. So I'll leave a little bit of time for questions. I was just going to finish up by saying that in the time of the Buddha, the ancient times, if people went on a long journey, they had to prepare. They had to get provisions, they needed a ship or a boat, or if they were going to walk, they needed to prepare. Nowadays, if we want to go to the other side of the world, it's very easy. We can leave Sydney in the morning and we can be in a totally different country by the evening. So people don't prepare for a journey anymore, they just go. But reaching Nibbana is a long journey. We might not get there in this lifetime. In fact, it's probable that we won't get there in this lifetime. So we shouldn't think, oh well, I'm not going to go on this journey because I'm not going to go there, I'm not going to get there.